Welcome back to another episode of Private Parts with me, Liv Bentley. This is the podcast where nothing is off limits. And my guest today knows more about my private parts than anyone, I think. And that is celebrity makeup artist and my glorious business partner, Bella Campbell. Welcome, Bella.
Thank you.
I'm excited about this one. Let's get down and dirty. That actually reminds me of how we first met.
Does that ever change anything about our chat?
No. This is actually, and because so many people always ask how we met. I met Bella, Ollie and Garrett's house. I walked in there. Bella was sitting there, looked up at me and she says, do you want to go on a dirty weekend to Ibiza? And I just thought, you and I are going to be friends forever.
Did we actually go?
We didn't go on the weekend away. We're still yet to do that. But that's how the sort of relationship started.
Yeah, and I think actually we went on a wholesome walk instead.
Yeah, I know. Complete change of plan.
Couldn't have been more different to a dirty weekend in Ibiza.
And then we were doing the morning walk, and then because I'd broken up with that boyfriend, and do you remember when we first saw him? And we barely knew each other. And I was walking, he was walking towards us. We do this morning walk, and it's Tom called it my serial killer walk at 5 a.m. I would do it with Bella. On that walk, who I've taken many an ex-boyfriend on, and also dumped on that walk, I bump into all the time. So now I have to really pick my timings when I mince around the river.
I mean, no one's going to be bumping into you at 5 a.m.
No, thank God. But what's even funnier, have I said this before? Whenever I put those stories up that I'm doing it, people I don't think can work out if I'm on my way back from a night out or if I'm actually leaving my house.
Debatable.
But then also, if I had left a night out, why am I hanging around on Putney Bridge? Do you know what I mean? Dodgy. Quick background into Bella. You, our business, celeb makeup artist.
Celeb makeup artist. So I actually did a fine art degree and I was never into makeup, but I knew I wanted to work in media in some way. And I tried various jobs that lasted about 1 or 2 days before I was like, this is not for me. And then someone said, why don't you do makeup? And I was like, don't be ridiculous. I have no interest in it. And then before I knew it, I did all my training.
How quickly can you do training for it?
I mean, a lot of people say they're a makeup artist and they haven't even trained. That's what's more disturbing.
But you
these
go
days.
onto Instagram, it's all you ever see.
But the difference is that there are really talented people out there. And someone can be great at doing makeup on their own face, but then give them anyone else. It's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah, no, it'd be a nightmare. My sweet sisters asked me to do their makeup, and I don't think I'm that good at doing my own makeup. And then I've tried it, and I'm like, Jesus.
No, you are really good. I mean, but if you put a picture of you now to when you first started Chelsea.
Oh my God, when I started, firstly, my clothing was completely unacceptable. I don't know how I got away with wearing those low-cut tops. I just thought makeup was a thick line of eyeliner. That's what I thought it was.
And also everyone had that
foundation on the
MAC
lips.
foundation that was super thick.
Oh,
and
it was all
basically
cakey.
there was zero skin left on their face.
Oh no, don't. Yeah,
it was like everyone started to want to do theatre makeup and like were doing drag makeup. And you'd be like,
that happened
sorry.
to me. And I had to film a first date and I thought I'll get a makeup artist. Honest to God, and I watched it back and I thought, who the fuck's that? I looked like some sort of Halloween creature. And it was so like this, and the amount on my face, I remember wiping it off. Like, I don't know what happened. I had sweat over the top of the makeup because there was so much on my skin. And I was like, this is hell.
Or do you remember there was the classic episode, sorry, Ollie, where he cried on Made in Chelsea and he'd had so much makeup on his face. It started, literally saw the tear lines of where it moved the makeup.
It's actually such a make or fail thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you can really...
And the trends through the eras.
What do you think is the worst makeup trend that you have witnessed, but also that someone has asked you to do for them and you've thought, I just don't know how I'm doing this?
I think it's when people go, I'd really like a natural makeup. And then they pull out a picture of Kim K. And you're like, my friend, let me tell you, this is not natural.
Oh my God.
Put that face in a broad daylight and there is zero natural.
Do you do wedding makeup?
Depends on the bride.
Yeah.
I get it. It's your most important day. But also when you have a vision of something that is nothing like you, but this is what you want to create,
that's the other
it's a really fine balance of how to tailor that to that person.
Because I also am a big fan of Pinterest. So I firstly do that for outfits, but also makeup stars. And I always choose people that I think are really beautiful. Obviously, I don't think I look like that person in the slightest, so I don't think I'm going to come and walk away looking like them. But I always I quite like Hailey Bieber's makeup. And I've sometimes shown that to people. Do I fucking look like that? Absolutely not.
No, but you're taking the essence of something, aren't you? So you're saying you've got to tailor it to the person's face shape.
Yeah.
So their eye shape, their bone structure, how you can basically make the most of what someone's got already. You don't want to be changing everything. You want to
emphasize.
I always think makeup is an illusion. It's always better when it looks like you're wearing nothing.
Yeah.
But you've really got that polished,
I like that
look.
I'm into that. I like the whole glowy skin look. But you do a lot of men.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. And I mean, and
makeup,
also
shall we
makeup.
say?
Yeah.
I know. When we talk about our lives, we have to be specific in how we say this.
Bella and I have had so many meetings, and I think at the beginning, we've laughed the whole way through, but the one thing that gets us every single time is, well, we come together. As in, we come as a duo, we don't physically come together. And so having meetings with certain people, and for some reason, a lot of people we've worked with have been men. I don't know if we shock them. I think they like it, though.
I mean, who wouldn't like our sense of humour?
And our sexual minds. Yeah, but you do who? Jimmy Carr?
Jimmy Carr. I mean, all the ones that are probably quite opinionated, actually, weirdly, seem to be the people that I end up doing their grooming for.
Yeah.
So from Jeremy Clarkson, actually went on the grand tour around the world with them in their tent. That was quite fun. Jimmy Carr, an array of comedians.
Okay, can you name and shame really quickly? Biggest diva you've done?
Yeah, but I can't name and shame.
Is it normally the people that are the biggest celebs or the slightly minor ones that are
Always the minor ones.
Why?
Or the
It's
nobodies.
so weird, isn't it?
I cannot pinpoint why. Maybe it's because they're more insecure and haven't found their feet and feel grounded. But there is definitely something about the nobodies that think they are somebodies.
It puts me off going to events. Actually, I don't have time for small talk. And I know that sounds really awful because I'm a washed up reality star. I wouldn't even say star. But when I go to events and I see other people who've done like one-time shows and they think they are the dog's bollocks, chatting rubbish. And they're like, my agent this, my agent that. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, no. It's just, I think it's the lack of security in where they're at, maybe.
Yeah.
And the insecurities play massive parts in their egos.
I'm sorry, I'm just imagining you doing Jimmy Carr's makeup. And hasn't he had a facelift?
I don't know. He hasn't had facelift, but he has had treatments and he's not ashamed to say.
Yeah.
But I actually adore Jimmy. I think he's great value. And actually, he's way deeper than people realize. Like, when you listen to his podcast, the way he talks, and actually, there was a time where I was going through a bit of a rough patch and he gave me this hypnotherapist to go and see, who was brilliant.
Yeah.
Although I really thought she'd tainted me because it was like purging these emotions and I'd be crying literally at nothing, and it would come at the most awkward moments where you're sat there and suddenly, but it wasn't like a subtle tear. It would be like full on wails.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop the tears. And I was like, what is this woman?
I need this.
Woman
That's
done?
what I need.
And then Jimmy was like, oh, have you gone to see her? How's it gone? And we had this really deep chat and I ended up crying. And I'm like, I meant to be looking after you, making you feel better, not you giving me therapy.
But I find it so nice when you hear stories like that about people like Jimmy Carr, because it's like, actually it makes him so not normal, but so like chilled and not who I think everyone thinks he is.
And they have a persona that people really like what they
jump
see.
on, yeah,
and they jump on it. And because they're quite opinionated in their being. And the same with Jeremy, you know, they're like Marmite, aren't they? And I remember when I came in late to the show on the grand tour, and they had their big Amazon screening of when they first launched, and I turned up, and obviously there's different teams that work together quite closely, and I'm always like the singular, unless I've got my makeup team, the singular sort of Billy No Mates. And I rock up and didn't know anyone, so I'm standing at the bar like a loser, thinking, okay, well, the only way we're going to get through this is just crack on with the free drinks. And Jeremy saw and he noticed, so he came over, and I thought, this is your night, like, you don't need to be looking after me. And he introduced me to a few people, and actually his daughter, knowing that we both lived in Fulham at the time. And I just thought it was such a nice thing to do.
Really kind of surprising though.
Yeah. And you just think, actually, when it's your night, you don't want to be looking after other people.
Let's get down and dirty with the lube.
Love it.
Bella and I get asked a lot why we started JOMO, and actually the reason it started, Bella and I were on one of these menacing walks. I don't know why I need to keep calling it menacing. It's Tom Lucy's got that in my head because he thought I was going around
stomping the streets.
And I turned to Bella and I said, is it weird that I fake orgasming? No offense to anyone I've been with in the last, I was about to say 30 years, and I was like, that's steep. 10 years. 5 years, okay. I think you said something like, no, it's not odd because it's so common, but no one ever talks about it.
Yeah.
And that's how it started.
And also how bad it is that people feel like they have to fake and they can't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we realized there was a much bigger story and conversation around it.
Yeah.
And that so many people find it so difficult to actually say those want.
Words. Because also people I don't think are aware, and I mean, women are aware obviously because of their bodies. I don't think men are aware. The majority of women don't actually orgasm from penetrative sex.
No.
You know what it is? It's watching those, firstly it's watching porn, but it's watching lovely films with sex scenes where you're up against the doorpost, That doesn't fucking happen. Let me tell you.
Or in
It's
a
more
shower.
uncomfortable.
Have you ever
splinters
tried in a
your
shower?
arse. Yeah, or in the shower. That friction
In a
actually
bath?
isn't right. No,
In a
it
pool.
doesn't.
I mean, honestly, those moments, they're just not
They've
the same.
actually ruined us, haven't they? Because now we all think that we're like, it's meant to be all this sexy stuff up and down the stairs. But we were so lucky, I think, that we had that friendship. And actually, someone asked a question to our DMs the other day. And it was something like, how do I talk about something I'm embarrassed about? But I've never been, not embarrassed, but I think because we had each other to talk about all this stuff, it was
normalized
easy.
it.
Yeah, it did normalize it. And I think you forget, as much as something seems very big for you, I can put money on the fact 1 million people have gone through it.
100%. And also the problem is that for some reason, something that is so normal that everyone does and should be celebrated, pleasure, whether it's solo or with a partner, that it's seen as so shameful.
But it's so odd.
And we should be confident in that. And we should take joy out of having our own pleasure.
Yeah.
And the problem is like going back to that thing of faking it. Well, then actually you're not benefiting anyone in that situation.
Apart from the guy.
Because the guy's thinking,
cheeky fuckers.
Great, I'm doing a sterling job.
See, actually,
here.
we've fucked them. It's actually our fault. I've led them to believe they were good.
Yeah, and we should have educated
lied.
them.
Because this is another thing that I actually find quite interesting, and I think one should do it. I think if you are having sexual relations, giving helpful tips and tricks to your partner is advisable.
Oh, 100%. You don't want to be the one that's like created, you've been with a partner for 10 years and obviously then it doesn't work and then you hand them off to someone else. Here are my used goods. Please enjoy. And you'll know whether they've been educated by someone or not before.
I always see these rather self-absorbed celebs going, oh, I love it when you Google yourself. So I Googled.
Oh, here we go.
I
can't wait for this.
I Googled Olivia Bentley, sexual wellness, right? Olivia Bentley is an intimacy educator and teaches couples how to spice up their sex lives by hosting 1 to 3 hour sessions, teaching them saucy tips and tricks, and even jumping into bed with them. The glamorous 46-year-old claims it's unfair for women to get married and not to tend to their husband's sexual needs. That is who Olivia Bentley is on the internet. I'm not 46, and this is not me. I'm a sex therapist. I sleep with my clients. The shocking part was actually she's making 380K a year.
Is that all for jumping
for
into
sleeping
bed
with
them?
having glorified threesomes? Anyway,
I would hope for a little more, to be honest.
We should get her on. By the way, I think she'd be phenomenal. Not to sleep with us, obviously. Anyway, back to JOMO. That was the idea behind it originally. You explain what you went through because you actually had quite a traumatic time.
I think it's all relative to each person, isn't it? And I think everyone has gone through something that affects their confidence, their self-worth, and then how that translates into how you connect with yourself or with a partner. Mine was, I had Emmy when I was about 25. Obviously, Emmy was, this is quite about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
How old am I? Fuck knows. Old.
No, you're not.
And there's a lot of chat about Emmy. Is it real? Is it a thing in your head?
Sorry, can you explain to me what actually it is?
It's like chronic fatigue syndrome. So it attacks people in different ways, but in a simple way, part of it is encephalitis, where your brain swells, and then the other part is, I cannot even say the first word, it's too blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I was on a job and I basically collapsed, and everyone was like, oh, you've got glandular fever, my glands were not up, and intuitively there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And whatever they're saying isn't right. So then I had an MRI, the brain, I just dribbled down myself. That's part of a side effect. I'm just kidding.
She's had the lip flip.
And then the swollen brain, basically, there's no cure, right? You just have to wait for yourself to just get better. And I was like, there has to be something. And my mum's also great. We're both we'll find all different routes that are not typically typical medicine. So I went to healers. I did loads of CBT, NLP, because I thought also it's a mindset as much as it is physical. So either you can be a victim or you can go, I want to get better. And then I ended up doing this thing called the lightning process, which I have no idea actually what it was, but I definitely came out a different person.
What do you mean? What were you doing? What's the lightning process?
I actually have no idea what they did, but it was for about 4 or 5 days, and she'd give you different things to do. And I'm sure it was something that changed something with the neural pathways in your brain.
Right.
And ever since then, I've never looked back. Obviously, when your body's on the verge of a burnout and you just have to take a step back. That doesn't really happen now in motherhood because you just can't stop. You have to be well for someone else. During that time, it was about 2 years, and you realize who your friends are, your priorities change, like the mundane things you take for granted of taking yourself to the loo or feeding yourself or just having a shower.
Yeah.
You forget those simple things. how much you take for granted.
Yeah.
So all your priorities change, and how you live, how you think about stuff, who's important, who you want to give your time to, where you want to give your time, and building your confidence again.
Yeah.
And it's more as well the confidence in what you're able to do, and when it would be like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and how your body would manage everything around
I
that.
always find it really hard because I know, not that I physically know when I'm stressed, but my body does, even though I don't feel stressed. And this is almost linked to when I had the hair loss, was that I remember all the doctors going, don't stress about it. And like, I wouldn't be, but my hair would still be falling out. So something inside me was obviously stressed.
There's a really interesting thing that I once saw, that there was a glass jar with some water in it.
Yeah.
And it's how long stress takes to settle in your body, and the impact that it has. So if you imagine a glass jar with some mud in it and you shake it, and you think how long it takes for all that sediment to settle again once you've shaken it. And that's how long the stress takes for your cortisol levels to balance themselves in your body. And ever since then, I ever think, when I get stressed and I'm thinking of this bottle with like all this dirt being shaken in it, how long it takes to settle, and you realize all that stress at some point is going to come out somehow, somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same with like any trauma or anything.
Yeah.
You can't hold it in. It will come out at some point, and your body will tell you when to stop, even if you're not, you know, you keep pushing through.
Don't go and neck a bottle of rosé, which is what my sort of way of dealing with it is at the moment, which is just, you know, not really advisable. But anyway, so that, God, that is a lot. Also in your 20s as well. Well, this is because mine was when I was 16. Was I? Yeah, I was 16 when I had my hair thing. So so Bella went through that, and then obviously, but you were then put onto medication.
Yeah, but that was much later.
Much later, but then all of this was just your general confidence, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But the impact taking medication had on down there, and also your mental state. I was speaking about this in a Blythe class the other day. Someone was saying they were on antidepressants, was it?
Yeah.
And actually how that fucks your libido.
Yeah. And I remember going to speak to my agent diary service, whatever you want to call them, saying, sorry, I've been a bit wayward, but, you know, I'm on these meds and they knocked me out for a bit. Anyway, this guy was in the office and he overheard, and I remember him walking out going, by the way, do you find it really difficult to orgasm? And I thought, sorry, and you are? and actually I've been quite lucky, and I think that's the connection of like connecting your mind with your lower bits, and and it's so much in your head of how you then get your pleasure.
Because it's the same with guys though, actually, but how sometimes guys, if they can't get it up, girls instantly feel, or whoever the partner is instantly feels it's them, but it's actually not. It could be totally different, and it's something going on in their mind. It's probably money or work or something else.
And it works both ways.
Yeah.
Because I think it's all ego. Part of the sex is you always think if the other person hasn't come, or you haven't given them their pleasure, you feel like that's on you.
Yeah, and you've done something wrong or not performed well.
Yeah, which is a whole different conversation, I think, with the confidence and egos that come into then intimacy.
That's how we created JOMO, was the lube. I think we originally had thought about doing sex toys, and then actually realized that when it comes to lubricant, I mean, if you say the words lubricant to anyone, I think instant reaction is strawberry flavored Durex or KY jelly.
Plastic bottle.
Plastic, sticky, something smelly. We started JOMO at the beginning of, halfway through lockdown.
Yeah.
It was pissing with rain, and I remember ringing Bella, obviously with nothing to do, and I said, I think we should get into the sex market. Do you remember?
I do remember.
And that is how it started.
Yeah.
The first one we created was the CBD arousal oil. If I'm honest, I'm not a big CBD person. I don't like the gummies. I've never ingested it. I've never actually really tried it as a wellness thing. But weirdly, in a lube, it is phenomenal.
When we started, the whole thing that was so important is that we did one thing really well. The amount of lubes that we tried with the different formulas.
Like horny fuckers. Anyone who's come round to my flat, I actually give them as gifts now, but I have been sent more lube, more vibrators than you could shake a stick at. I should actually have a sex party and charge people.
I mean,
no, that's sorry.
I mean, then you would be the other Olivia Bentley.
Then I really would be her. So this is where we worked so well, is that Bella's background, obviously in the makeup, was all with the ingredients and the natural side of all of it. Mine was obviously being chatty Cathy and talking about sex relentlessly. So we were the match made in heaven.
We were,
but we did trial and test a lot, and I think
And now,
that sounds,
do you know what? I bet so many people are going, I want to know how they tried.
Yeah.
What were they doing?
Can
were
they
they
show
trying
us
on
a
each
video?
other?
I know. Just I think people did that. I think also when Bella and I did one of our first photo shoots, and we looked like a couple selling our own lube, and I don't know why it looks that way, but I don't mind. But no, because I think also it's such a hard one when you're doing a product because there are so many different things that go into it. And weirdly, only now do I actually look at the ingredients that go into things.
Really?
I never did before because I didn't really think about it. Like I think it was you who told me I shouldn't be using makeup wipes, which I don't use anymore, just so you know. But there are so many different things that
I mean, at least you were taking your makeup off.
That is true. Although there was many a time when I had a fake eyelash stuck to my eyebrow in the morning, which was really unacceptable. But yeah, and how sensitive down there really is. Because I think the other thing as well, Bella and I realised, is maybe lack of education or the misconceptions with how one should really look after yourself, like from whether you're using shower gels or Femfresh or the damage so much stuff can do down there. And that was was our main thing, I think, actually.
Yeah, that it is a very delicate space.
Because also, I mean, you hear, you can get BV, UTIs. Honestly, I remember when I first got told, which some people still didn't know this, peeing after sex. Yeah. Like you have to, but that's not everyone knows that.
But also, why? I mean, don't you have the urge to pee after sex sometimes anyway?
Yeah.
Or the worst is when you sit there and you're like, I know I should pee, but nothing's coming, and you're like
trying
to turn all of the taps, and they're going, "Are you all right?" And you're like, "Yes, no, I'm fine." TikTok,
the worst pee anxiety. I actually ring Bella when I need a wee, so I know it just suddenly makes me need to pee. It's very odd.
I don't know why
That's
is.
a very strange thing. Yeah, we've worked
and also,
far too closely with each
the
other.
other thing is, if you're going to look after everything else, like your face, your hair, your body, why not look after your vagina?
No one thinks that way, and also no one actually, like when you're suffering with something. I mean, I even remember once. I think I got a thrush or something, and I was such a pussy about going to Boots. I made my mum go and do it for me because I was like, I don't want to have to ask over the counter for one of those canister things.
But it starts so young, doesn't it? It's like when you first start your period, which every woman at some point has, and you're going, I don't want anyone to hear me like opening that tampon wrapper or the pad, and you're like turning the dryer on. You remember those days when you were young at school and you were embarrassed about it, and then it just basically carries on through life with various at whatever stage you are.
But even that, in saying that, I remember I wasn't sure whether I was meant to use a tampon, a pad. Well, now you've got the works. There's a moon cup. You can do. I mean, I don't know what else they're offering, but like even then, there wasn't that much.
Well, we just didn't have the same education as there is now.
My sex ed, by the way, may I just add?
What was yours?
The priest of the church, the chaplain, would take these classes, and then we all went in there. Cardboard box, had to put our hands through it and put a condom on a banana as if it was putting a condom on a bloke in the middle of the night. That for me was sex ed by the chaplain. Like that was it.
Is he?
I did see him tucking into the communal wine once, and I thought, you cheeky bastard.
But I was about to say, is he?
But it's so, of all the things one should be taught at school, that should be up there, shouldn't it? Really?
How to put a condom on?
No. No, I mean. Well, in saying that, you can get it on the wrong way around. No, but no. Oh God, that was my father's generation. Of all the things we learned, I don't need a protractor now, but I do need to know,
Simcoes and
menopause. Yeah, exactly.
What was that? Have you ever used it since? No.
But that was it. What was yours?
So I'm 40 now. So our sex ed at school probably was so basic. It was probably a video. A VHS. For all those listeners out there, we only had 4 TV channels. It probably just basically was a tadpole swimming somewhere to an egg, and that was probably sex ed.
That is such a minor part of sex. Yeah, like the relationship side of it, the saying no, which I don't think people are taught enough about.
Nowadays, it is getting better and people being taught more at school, but it's got to the point where one of my girlfriends, their children, the daughter's 12, went to a really good private school. They had a sex ed class, and this is actually shocking. The teacher, I actually can't believe I'm about to say this. The teacher got all the girls there and was like, basically started saying, you've got 2 holes. I want you to go home this evening. And this was the daughter telling me.
No, stop.
I want you to go home and I want you to look at yourself in a mirror. And then I want you to play.
No.
Stick a finger up. And see which hole feels better. This is a 12-year-old girl.
Recent. That's shock. That she should be arrested.
And I could not believe I was hearing
Wait,
this.
which hole feels better?
Honestly, I am still in shock when I say it out loud.
What? Wait, but what? Hang on. In all seriousness, what's happened to the teacher? That obviously should have be fired.
I
for
have
that.
no idea, but I do know that the girl is not in that school anymore.
It's a female teacher or a male teacher?
Well, that's also what I asked.
No, but come on. I
I
mean,
mean-
listen, we're in 2025. You can't be having that as that's a
But also, surely it's your prerogative as a parent to decide when you teach your children and how you teach your children about that. Yes,
Yeah.
okay, I understand about consent. And yes, okay, as a woman, you might want to learn about different types of discharge or what happens
Yeah.
with your body, how to ask for what you want, how to say no, or for a bloke, the same thing,
Yeah.
how to say, can I do this? And
Yeah.
actually, that is a massive thing as a mother to a boy as he grows up, how
Yeah.
to teach him about consent, because so many boys now are so fearful and even making any type of move on a girl.
You hear all these stories about kids at boarding schools where one girl's obviously got a bit drunk and then or claimed something, and then all the boys, and it's scary, all that.
Yeah. It was different when we were younger.
I also think everyone does start things a lot earlier now.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I looked like a boy till I was 16.
Me too, and I was so frigid.
Yeah. Back to our lubes, but no, it is. I think weirdly, I've learned more about. Well, obviously, learned a lot more, but there's so much I've now learned about the female body,
Yeah.
and just different things in that area since we started JOMO. Like, it's interesting.
What do you think is the best takeaway so far that you have got from doing JOMO?
The importance of masturbation on like your mental health and your like just the actual benefits of it. Because
Yeah.
actually before JOMO, also, can I just say one thing? I have not, since we started this, I have never had sex once without using it.
No, me neither.
Have you not?
Never.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And if I don't have it, it feels like I'm missing a
Something.
part
No, I
of
know.
the whole sex.
But
because it's a bit of a warm up
Yeah.
as well. You can use it as like a little bit of your foreplay and a bit of a massage, or you could use,
for everything.
for everything.
No, I've
Him,
got
me.
an ex who like, I don't know, I was sort of relieved that he wasn't then using it with his next person, but he was like, no, even the smell of it, because it smells amazing, reminded me of you and just sex. So I was like,
But I think that what we need to add is the difference with our lube to
Yeah.
others is that it does have ingredients in it that aren't just great for a woman because they're pH friendly, but each lube has a hero ingredient.
And CBD is controversial. And so when we sort of started it, I think we didn't realize it's a sort of unknown, I suppose, especially in the UK. Like CBD in other places is a lot.
Controversial.
It is a bit.
Yeah.
But, and also, I think I have noticed the wellness benefits of it. We actually can't make any claims, but from testimonials we get from people, the stuff that they have said is amazing. But so the CBD, what it actually does is it encourages blood flow to that area where you're using it, which in turn heightens sensation, hence a rather intense, much more enjoyable orgasm. But it works for men and for women. So for men, the effect is helps like maintain an erection. So yeah.
And also the fact that it's a muscle relaxant. So say women post-baby or perimenopausal or menopausal, when your estrogen levels are drops and things are a bit drier or a
Yeah.
bit tighter and you can't quite relax enough, the CBD also helps with that. Although I do remember one of the questions was, am I going to get a limp dick?
Yeah, I know. Oh, that was the first one. No, that was one of my idiot friends. He said, will my dick fall asleep? I was like, I think you're comparing this to someone who smokes a joint every night and goes like that. No, definitely not.
But then we get some amazing testimonials
Oh,
which
yeah.
make all the hard
difference.
work.
But I think the other thing I actually realised, which I didn't before, is that the connotation that goes with lubricant is like people, and it's an awful expression, oh, she dried up, oh, I don't need it. And I actually said this in a video I did the other day, as how that's more from a male perspective, like guys thinking because their dick's so big it gets girls wet. That is complete and utter rubbish. Just to put it out there, it is a lie. It's not about all that. And actually, even if you do get wet, like I personally don't necessarily need lube, but I use it anyway because I enjoy the feeling that I get with it and also what goes with it.
Yeah.
Like even if it's
Exactly.
like taking 2 minutes, and it sounds so stupid. I think in my head when I was younger, I thought sex was such a physical act and it was like wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Whereas now it's much more of a like,
I hate
we
the word
hate the word. We say it all the time,
journey.
a journey. She's on a journey, on her sexual journey. But no, but it's so true because then you like actually slow it down and make it more of a like, I don't know, it's more of a
whole experience.
an experience rather than just a quick act. Especially for women though, I think, because once guys orgasm, sex technically is over in their eyes. But actually for women, you need to get to you need to climax as well.
But also, I think when people say about this the sex. It's about what gets you in the mood, right?
Yeah.
As men can just be like, oh, I've got a stiffy. Go on then, love.
Yeah, it's like, well, hang on. I'm not in the mood at all after that chat.
Oh, no. I need a bit of foreplay.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you want to go, how's your day, babe? Give me a kiss. Give me a cuddle. But don't just peck me, like snog me.
Yeah.
Get me in the mood.
100%. No, I'm so with that. It's not, women aren't quite like turning on a car, are they? I do find though, when I use with Joe, it makes me horny. I know, does that sound weird? I hate the word horny as well. It's really odd.
I think there's something sexy about oil.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
There is.
Is it the feel? Is it the visual? Is it...
It's all of it. I have to say, out of the gym, so we've got two, the water-based and the oil-based. Obviously, there's two different ones. So this is what we started with.
Our hero.
Our hero one. I think this is, that's actually I prefer that one.
Okay, here's a question.
Yeah.
When you've used both with a partner, have you found that your orgasm or their orgasm is different with the different lubes?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you ever had it? You know, you suddenly feel a bit flushed. Like you suddenly get
all over or just downstairs?
No, we're all over. That I've had with that. But yeah, that I get with that one.
And that is, well, this one. This is the water-based one, the intimate serum. And there is the hero ingredient of the L-arginine.
Bella and I love doing this. So we both know the list of every single ingredient, obviously, that goes into them. These were ones that we came up with. So we really did our background into what we wanted, what we didn't. And every time she says, what's that oil called again? Jojoba. I don't know how you say it. And I laugh when we do it. Because also the other thing with this one that I just want to quickly say, we wanted something that was multi-purpose. So it's body massage and arousal, so you can use it everywhere. I also have to say I use it on my legs because it's full of vitamin E.
So great.
Yeah, exactly, full of vitamin E, and also the massage aspect. Firstly, CBD is great for like tight muscles, and you can bit of foreplay in between all that.
So much needed, ever forgotten foreplay.
Exactly. Yeah, gentlemen, remind yourselves what foreplay is, please. I will do a demonstration. No,
that'll get the listeners,
all the viewers.
So the L-arginine is a sort of it's a bit similar to the CBD, but it is used medically actually for men, and it is helpful with their erections and their sperm count, especially when taken orally. This is not an oral one. This is topical. So when applying it to penis or vagina, you can feel the difference.
Yeah.
So I was fine with the intimate serum. There is a definite difference with the orgasm.
I think I say girth. I don't know why. Sorry.
The orgasm that the man has.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. And although he prefers the oil, I'm so sorry to my partner. He prefers the oil. I definitely notice a difference
with that one.
With this one,
it's interesting,
especially for him. I mean, I love the oil because it's just a whole, a whole experience.
Yeah, I think that's okay. That's what that one probably more is the whole experience. That's very much
you have more playtime with it because you can use it everywhere and anywhere.
And a question we often get asked: you can ingest it. Don't fucking drink it, but depending what you're doing, it's lickable.
Whatever terminology you might use for those oral moments.
I sort of like really lowered the tone at any point. I had the most hilarious phone call once. I don't know why I suddenly decided to be customer service. And when Bella and I, it is Bella and I who do it. So when I reply to emails from customers, I used to put the JOMO team, and if someone's a bit sassy, I'll say Liv, and then they go, oh my God, I love you. I'm like, oh, well, here we go. Anyway, some woman was desperate to try and get on the phone to understand what the lube was, and in my head I kept thinking, pretty self-explanatory what a lubricant does. Anyway, she was one of the funniest phone calls I've ever had. She says, right, so I get it. I squirted on his penis, it goes higher up into me, and she must have been in her 60s. And I howled with laughter for honestly about half an hour with what was going on here. And then she was asking me about a hand job, and I was like, hang on, I'm not the sex therapist. I don't really know what I'm telling you. Like, it was so funny.
No, the other one was when the guy wrote in.
Oh, no, the penis pump.
The penis pump. I'd just like to say how great your product is, and it works great with my penis pump.
And then I couldn't work out in his email address, it did have something 69, and I was like, is this a prank?
But then you do have the ones where like people post chemo.
Where's that one that we cried at? That one the review.
It just makes all the hard work and the trials and tribulations of starting your own company well worth it. And to know that you're actually making a difference in people's like personal lives, and that they're celebrating it, and you've made a difference.
Because we had this amazing one, and it was a guy whose wife had, I think it was breast cancer, and something else. Anyway, he said they literally because of her going through everything, they hadn't slept with each other for about 2 or 3 years, anyway, on a whim, bought JOMO. And they said they've finance services like completely changed everything for them. Like it was, and it, no, I remember we were in
Gives me
Portugal.
goosebumps.
I know we were in Portugal. We got that one, and I think we both actually cried. So stuff like that is amazing. And I think also, not that I slightly struggled, but you know what it's like. You get some person who's been on TV and then they try and flog a product, which is not how this happened. Like these it took us a good 3 years, I think, to actually really finalize the bottles, the ingredients, the details, where we were getting it sourced from. Like the work that actually went into it, which I'm so proud of it. Like I think and also the fact that we've managed to last together, as in keep a company going, just the two of us, no investment, we've done it all ourselves, have had fucking nightmares with manufacturers. And our manufacturers royally fucked us up the arse, not in a good way, and basically took all our money. So it was still,
stole thousands of pounds off us and never delivered the product.
Yeah.
And then went MIA to the point where he's actually been arrested.
I know. They want to make a Netflix documentary on him, I think.
And he still keeps starting new companies. That's what I can't believe. And I think he took investment from someone. And there is, if you go online, you can find it. There was someone who I think sponsored him 115 grand.
No.
And I think he had 15 CCJs on him at the end. I mean, obviously he is not a manufacturer. And we have found others.
But do you know what he used to do as well? And I started getting messages from people, is he was going around saying, I do Liv Bentley's company, and recommending me to people. So then people were messaging me saying, this guy seems to have taken my money. And I was like, oh my God, it looks like it was awful actually. I don't know how, it was
I mean, we have had a roller coaster ride.
Yeah,
I mean, we've really been tried and tested. I think I also remember the phone call when I was away once.
That was honest to God. Pissing with fucking rain in London, and we'd just done the first order, and I was like, this is amazing. The guy was like, I'll deliver it to your house. And I was like, great, 3,000 lubes coming in hot. So I'm standing on my street and torrential rain comes down.
Nice leafy street in Fulham.
Nice leafy street. And anyways, and I have very sweet neighbours. They're a little bit older. Anyway, he gets these things off the truck and it's curbside delivery over, so I've got to lug it in. And as I opened one of the things, I thought, hang on a minute, these are all just glass bottles. And I was like, why are half of these empty? So I rung Bella in a state while shifting the lube into my house.
In
like
pallets. 3,000 bottles.
All the neighbours coming out. Do you want any help with anything? I was like, don't you touch my lube. And then I ring Bella. I said, half of it's empty. Fine, ring the manufacturers. And they said, we've gone into liquidation. We can only fill half of them. And I was like, what? So I'm standing there with empty bottles of shit, just nothing. And I was like, oh my God.
Just bottles of imaginary lube.
The amount of times we've called each other crying about an array of things, from breakups to dodgy lube to everything. It's been a lot.
It's been a lot.
But we're still standing.
We're still sliding through.
You know what? I think you and I, because a lot of people always ask what it is like going into business with a friend. And actually, I mean, we were friends, obviously very good friends prior to starting the business. But you and I think, and I know it will always remain, touch wood.
Yeah, that's touch wood.
That you have to have the exact same vision as someone. And Bella and I are so lucky that we're in a position where if I've had to go away for things like filming, there's so much trust that Bella will do it all that I don't need to worry about that. Or like when you and I had a baby, do you know what I mean? Like we've tag teamed. And I think a lot of people do get very nervous of what could possibly go wrong. But I think if you have the sort of foundations that we have, it has really worked.
Yeah.
You know?
We're lucky.
We are lucky.
But we work hard at it and we've done it whilst basically doing other jobs at the same time.
I mean, I've probably been more of a bit of a letdown. And then finally, our new number.
Get that mic out.
Get it out. My sweet mother, we did an event and she said a few words, stood up in front of everyone, holding this as a microphone. Vibrators are external. This is for clitoral stimulation. I don't know who I'm educating, men probably here.
Actually, everybody, because there's some things that we've learned from this that I had no idea about.
Tell me.
The reason why women don't necessarily come from penetration is because of where our nerve endings are. And we have thousands of nerve endings in our clitoris.
Yeah.
Hence why this bad boy should be your go-to.
I say the word bulbous, which I actually don't think is a very nice word, but that is exactly why. This is,
that nice round head will activate and get those.
There's a lot of coverage.
There's a lot of coverage for all those nerve endings. But also, this is a thing that I did not know. So as we get older, our nerve endings start diminishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, savage. And this little bad boy, it's like having an exercise, right? So training your muscles. This little bad boy not only will help with your orgasm, but will also keep those nerve endings ticking over.
Oh yeah, we were talking about this the other day because especially through menopause,
Yeah.
they actually say you should masturbate down there to keep things,
To keep everything going.
No one talks about it. I think
That is my top tip.
and actually that's a really good one. But this is the thing: sex people don't see sex as a sort of wellness thing. They see it as an act and something. Do you know what I mean? It's not seen in a positive, almost like the way of like taking exercise. But no, because we also when it came to this. It's bigger. You can get obviously different shapes and sizes. Bella and I specifically chose this one, not only because of the size, because I actually say it's my favorite one I've ever tried. But it's got 25 different settings.
Waterproof.
It's waterproof, but loads of different vibrations. Obviously, you can get so many different shapes and sizes. You get the suction ones, you get this. They don't tend to have enough amount of settings for what you're after. So with ours, there's a max amount of not only the vibration settings, but speed settings, which is why there is 25. Whereas a lot of vibrations, you tend to get sort of 5 or 6.
That head is malleable, so it does move. As some vibrators, especially some of the suction ones, it's one size fits all.
I'm not a fan of those.
And that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
They're not all the same.
I think that's another thing women don't talk about. And I actually think this is probably from men watching porn, is there is no one way a vagina should look.
Unless you've got a designer vagina.
I was asking someone this the other day. If you have a designer vagina, does it not remove sensation if they're snipping and tucking? Or what are they doing down there?
Well, I don't know.
I wouldn't risk that. Can you imagine? If you're constantly using lube, you do not stop producing natural lubrication. It doesn't work that way, in case anyone was wondering. It's the same with vibrators. You don't suddenly, because someone I remember, I'm not shy about introducing a vibrator into a relationship. I know it's hard for some people because I think the guys get threatened. I think what guys need to remember, it's not to replace you, it's to add something, which is totally different. So when a guy suddenly sees a huge vibrator, they're like, oh my God, it's meant to be like my penis. What on earth about this looks like your schlong? And if it does, you should see a doctor. Like, honestly and truly. It's not to replace that, it's to add something to it. So men, just calm yourselves down. It's not to do that in the slightest.
So one thing as well is that when we first launched the Intimate Serum, we have added some more playtime to it.
Yeah.
So it has a new, improved, revised formula, so it gives you longer lasting play.
Honest to God, Bella's poor husband, by the way, right, is the nicest, sweetest man. And I think probably rather virginal before he heard me on a Zoom call. And the things that have been revealed and relayed. I think there was one day we were having a phone call with an amazing woman who was an intimacy coach, and she was talking about how she was sent to blowjob school. So we were all for deep throating. And in the background, Bella had the builders in. And I don't know if people think I don't know what they must think.
I think one was when Ollie walked in and we're on a Zoom call, and there are multiple Zoom calls that happen with all sorts of chat. And he's walked in to go make himself his little lovely lunch sandwich, and he's buttering his bread. And next thing there is talk of, I went to deep throat school and I'm sending my boyfriend to, this is not me, by the way, and I'm sending my boyfriend to this
experience,
where the guy teaches these men and guarantees any man that goes on this course can make a woman squirt. And there Ollie is in the kitchen making his sandwich, and I have never seen him walk out the kitchen with a thinner sandwich in my life. I swear it was just 2 slices of bread and a slab of butter. Usually, let me tell you, it is a very, very filling sandwich.
That's the funniest thing. If you actually ever have any questions, sex-based, Bella and I, by the way, are no means at all any experts. I'm certainly not. I mean, I can tell you how to be brutal and bring it into the conversation. But if you ever want to know anything, you can always DM the JOMO Instagram account or Bella and I personally, because we have like a team of therapists and doctors and stuff who we talk to. And also to buy any of our products, you just get it at jomolondon.com. Also follow JOMO because we do a few discounts here and there. We also do duos, so you can buy a duo set of either lube to see which one you prefer. And we have started doing a few events. We did Masturbation May. Oh my God, it's May.
Masturbation
We did Masturbation May. Next up, we've got Anal August, so tune in. I'm joking, we do not have Anal August. And I've said that before, actually.
Sloppy September.
Yeah, Sloppy September. Make sure you're following the account because we do these women's... Well, actually, we did a female event the other day about female intimacy.
And unlocking female pleasure.
Anyway, thank you very much for that. Everyone, try our lube because I think it will change your lives and your sex lives.
Yeah, get down and dirty, enjoy it.
Get down and dirty, exactly. Thank you, Bella.
Thank you for having me.